Hey guys, behind me I have the whole underneath of the 2022 Toyota Tundra. This is the iForce Max, so we have all the electrical components. I have the engineers behind me, so let's get into it. All right guys, so we have Craig here, who is powertrain engineer basically for the truck. He's gonna show us all the cool hybrid components on it. Essentially all these cool little orange things. So go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, so this is our iForce Max powertrain. So we have actually our V6 turbo gasoline engine, same as the iForce engine. And then we also have our 10-speed transmission. But you can see in between it, we have this orange component here, which we call the front module. So inside that is our motor generator, a single motor generator, as well as a disconnect clutch. And when that clutch is open, the engine can turn off and the motor generator can provide the torque through the transmission and to the wheels. So the transmission's always shifting, whether you're in EV mode or not, it's always going through. Some of the other hybrid components here we have up in our engine compartment is this orange thing right here is our inverter, the PCU. And then the very back here we have the high voltage battery. This is a 1.87 kilowatt hour battery, 288 volts. It's located under the rear seat. It's a nickel metal battery, which is really good for durability for these trucks and for putting it all through the towing and the off-roading that we're going to do.
And they're also recyclable too, right?
Recyclable,
As opposed to lithium as well.
That's right.
Yeah, perfect. So the way the transmission then works, it allows, I mean, that's a normal transmission, obviously, because it's connected to a normal like truck. So it just allows it to engage and kind of like Ram's e-torque, maybe a little bit, but a lot better.
This is a full hybrid system. So you're right in that the transmission is always shifting through the gears.
Okay.
So it's a 10-speed transmission. It's almost the same as the iForce, just the conventional engine, but it has a higher torque capacity.
Okay.
So there's a few little upgrades inside.
Oh, internal to the actual
transmission.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
it's a basic same structure, same 10-speed, same gear ratios. Just a few things are changed to be able to have the more torque from the hybrid system.
Okay. And then with this too, obviously, it's attached to the bell housing, which now this is pushed back a little bit more from the engine. So
about
what?
9 inches.
Okay. So what difference did you guys have to do here to attach that to the hybrids versus any other Tundra chassis coming off the line?
Sure. So this front module is 9 inches long, so you can imagine it pushes the whole thing back. And this unit actually is a four-wheel drive, so it has a transfer case.
Right.
So you can imagine the whole unit kind of goes backwards a little bit. So this shaft right here gets a little bit smaller. In addition, the cross member of the frame shifts back a little bit compared to the non-hybrid. And then because it's a four-wheel drive, it has a front prop shaft going to the front differential. That gets a little bit longer on the hybrid.
Okay.
So those are some of the change points.
Sweet. And then I also then noticed up here, because obviously orange is hybrid components, we have another cooler right here.
That's right.
So
this cooler is to cool the coolant for the inverter.
Okay.
So it uses a similar coolant as the other radiators.
So then these blue ones down here.
Yeah, so these are the intercoolers.
Okay.
So we have a single intercooler up top. These are the radiators for the intercooler. These, the air comes in through the main grill and cools these. We also have, in the middle of the headlight, there's an opening that allows air to come through that goes in towards the intake for the engine.
Okay.
So we're getting fresh air towards the intake.
Into the air box, essentially, for both turbos on each side.
Yep, so the intake actually goes into the fender, and then the headlight hole lets air go through into the fender as well.
Sweet. Just like the talking like gear ratio as to why you guys went away, like why you guys went to 3.3 gear ratio.
Yeah, so our transmission first gear is 4.9 gear ratio, and then we have in the transfer case in 4 low is 2.6. So we don't need a really large gear ratio in the rear diff because we're using a 3.31, and that's regardless of powertrain, regardless of trim level. It's still needs diff ratio we offer, but there's plenty of torque multiplication with that. And we do have a torque converter as well, so you have that torque multiplication of the torque converter that's in the transmission.
And then we got the electric power steering down there, because last generation was hydraulic, correct? Okay, so we got electric power steering. Yeah, even just on the trail up there, it was so easy to just move the steering wheel.
And that power steering, depending on the different modes, it changes how
to stiffen up. Okay.
For example, sport mode, it gets sport plus, it gets really tight.
Okay. The air suspension and everything too. I mean, looks like we got our little, is that the compressor right there for it?
Yep.
Okay.
Compressor and controller for our air suspension. Of course, this doesn't exist in the production vehicle. This is just
Oh,
only
it's to air it up.
for,
Oh, cool.
for demo,
Okay.
for demo purposes. They're hooked into the our bags right here. Is fit right where the standard coils will go on the vehicle. The componentry is all closed loop air system.
Yeah, and then I can see all that right there. So then that houses the sensor as well. So was there like a little, not gyro in it, but how does it know how much it's towing?
We have, if you notice here on these, you can see it across there. We got linkages that are going to a height sensor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Inside the, so as you're loading down, these arms will change their geometry
Okay.
and then push the height sensor.
Gotcha, understood. And then of course, on-road comfort, I mean, coils are nice, but having airbags in the back instead of coils are probably even even more comfortable.
Yeah, it certainly help, and we, of course, in the dampers here.
Right.
The great thing about this layout, our new layout, is we've now moved the dampers from the top point from inside the frame to out, so it's a much more up and down motion,
Okay.
much more efficient for our damping characteristics and control of the vehicle.
And the gas tank is obviously on this side, 21 gallons?
This is a 32.
Okay, and 32 is the max, correct?
32 is the
Okay.
large fuel tank, and we have a 22 gallon for our standard tank.
Gotcha. Okay. That's still a lot. I mean, I know people like with the last generation, the 40 plus gallon tank, which was cool, but now you're almost getting 5 to 10 more miles per gallon. So really it's a smaller tank is plenty.
Yeah, our previous gen was 36,
36, yeah, 38, something like that.
And our target for this size tank was to make sure that our distance, our range, was equivalent or better than our current generation.
Gotcha. Okay. So the normal V6, guys, is a 9.5-inch rear end, and the hybrid one with the iForce Max, they actually built up the rear end a little bit more to handle all that torque. So it's about 10 1/4 rear end. And we have a fully boxed frame, which is significantly more rigid than the outgoing generation. And a lot of you guys were asking about the body cab mounts to fit your bigger tires. Well, here it is. This is a 265. What do we got here? 265 60 20. So since they're 20-inch wheels, so that's what it looks like. That's your distance away from the body cab mount. So the hubs are
139.7 by 6, and they're M14s.
And then is the reasoning for the gas tank on the passenger side now as opposed to the driver's side just to really help offset weight? Like if
There's a little bit of packaging story behind that. So as we developed the new frame for the SUV and for Tundra, for SUV Land Cruiser's slightly narrow body,
right,
we brought the frame rails in relative to what our current gen Tundra is.
okay,
So this is about a couple inches inboard for where current gen is.
Really?
Where
Okay.
previous gen is now. So with that, you can tell, like, for 4-wheel drive, we have our transfer case here and prop shaft going forward.
right,
As we brought this narrower, we only have so much space in this area that we can exist.
Gotcha.
So with the transfer case here, making sure that we can get the volume and range we want for the customers, we need to give this
yeah.
space.
Because if you
available.
look right there, that's way too close to the two of them.
Yep. This is actually the Crew Max long.
Oh, okay.
Is what we're looking at here. So
Okay.
in the Crew Max short or in our double cab,
It's
long-
even
regular
closer
bed
then.
is
Understood.
Up here.
Okay. Yeah, so then this is a Crew Max 6.5 foot bed. So the cool thing about this rolling chassis is a lot of individuals were very worried about hybrid system off-road. But all the hybrid components on this truck, as you can see, are all orange. So you have the cable going from the power thing right there all the way down to the batteries, which sit behind the seat. And then your main hybrid component is just right here. So attached to the engine, to the 3.5 liter, and into the transmission bell housing, you have the whole electric motor. So everything is almost as if it was mechanical, all internal, and nothing, as you can see, no orange in the back, just yellow for the air suspension, but nothing hybrid is anywhere that you guys should be worried about with off-roading. You don't really got to worry because everything is just around the engine anyways, and if you're getting water this high, you're already in trouble. So the fact that there's battery and stuff in that area too, don't even worry about it, because if you have water up this high, you're already in some trouble. So guys, let me know what you think about this new power plant for the Tundra. It drives absolutely insane, and the engineering and everything behind it has been so thought out. It's absolutely incredible. Guys, if you're new around here, definitely consider subscribing. Returning subscribers, as always, I appreciate your guys' support, and I will catch you in the next video. All right, see you later.